Hello, Technologies for Information Services 2018. I'm recording this movie in February 2018 and I'm hoping that I'll use it for the second delivery as well in the second half of the year. If there are changes, I'll mention them at the bottom of the movie, but everything should apply. Right, what I'm showing here is the unit outline and the Blackboard unit for students who are enrolled through Curtin as postgraduates. Now, students are also enrolled through Open Universities. People are also enrolled as undergraduates. However, most of what you do is the same at slightly different times and slightly different levels. Okay, so if there are differences, I'll mention it. In the second half of the year, the OUAs are way behind the Curtin students. However, most of the guide will work if you're not from Curtin postgraduate. I would like you to go and get two things before you watch any more of this movie. I want you to make sure you have the unit outline in front of you, and I'd like you to log into your Blackboard unit and have that on the screen. Now, please pause the movie if you don't have that and then start again in a second. Okay, the unit outline. This movie is a walkthrough to show how the unit outline and Blackboard fit together, where you can find things, give you an idea of expectations, a feel for the unit. However, the unit outline is our contract with you as students, and anything that I say that contradicts that unit outline, I'd like you to do two things. One is ignore whatever I've said because it's rubbish. The second is please let me know so I can clarify where there's been some kind of mismatch between what's in the unit outline and what I've said. The unit outline is 100% accurate. I'm going to try to be 100% accurate. Okay, so please grab your unit outline, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through that, then we'll go through Blackboard. Right, so I'm not going to go through everything. The introduction, in that I talk about what I want you to get out of the unit. Now, what I hope you'll mainly get out of this unit is an understanding how to ask the right questions. So by the end of it, I want you to know enough about technology use within archives, records, and libraries for you to know how to ask why. If somebody is suggesting you use a new piece of software, you know how to evaluate it. You know how to play with it, how to tinker with it, what kind of questions people need to ask to find out whether it fits in with an information service. So what I'm not going to do is show you this is the exact interface for this commonly used product in a library, and this is how you catalogue a book or issue an item. That will come on the job. However, if you actually know more about troubleshooting you can do when the system doesn't seem to work, or why the software looks a particular way, then you actually have a much more valuable skill. And that's what I'm trying to communicate to you. Disciplinarily, how we talk and think about technology. One thing you should have worked out by now is that information services are heavily tech focused, and you need to be comfortable with technology to do anything. You also need to be very comfortable with people, and it's quite a unique mix that if you're good with people and technology, you're well suited for information services work. Right, okay, so there's the introduction and welcome. Please have a look at that. There's learning activities. Now, the unit outline. This is describing a 3-month course at university. If you immediately felt like everything was clear, then you wouldn't need to spend the next 3 months doing it. The unit outline is long, it's complex, but the first job you need to do is read through it, make sure you understand it. Now, it might take you a couple of goes. You might need to reward yourself with chocolate or a run or whatever you need to do to keep going through it. Read the unit outline, please. Then if you have questions, use a Control F, a find to see whether you can see it in the unit outline. Then feel free to ask on the discussion board. Okay, however, students from previous years have asked me to tell you, week 3 if you reread the unit outline, so many things fall into place, okay? I would say read it through as a skim read, then sit down and take a couple of hours to read it through thoroughly, then go back to it in week 3 before census day. Okay, what you're going to be learning. Okay, this unit is based on 4 different modules. The first week is just a setup. Do you know what you're doing? This movie's part of that. There's an assessment, a small assessment that you do just to get you totally set up using the right browser and things like that. Okay. Then there's 3 modules: technology infrastructure, data provision and maintenance, and the user experience and interfaces. Now, the focus of this, because this is online teaching, the focus of this is on my communication with you being around the assessments rather than around the material itself. So as a result, there's not a weekly lecture where I stuff your head with facts. I don't think that's actually very useful. There are topic notes, there are readings, there are movies, there are activities, and there are learning outcomes given for each topic. Now, those learning outcomes for each topic are for you to make your own way through to get the knowledge you need. Some people start knowing a lot more, and some people start knowing a lot less about each topic. The unit learning outcomes are there so that if the material I've provided doesn't match your learning style or doesn't give you enough information, it's not at a basic enough level or it's not at a sophisticated enough level, then it's for you to say, well, by the end of it, I need to be able to understand the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web. Okay, I didn't understand that stuff from the notes. What can I do to go out and find more material, a YouTube video or something that will explain it so I understand? Okay, so a lot of the understanding, the material is there, but that's for you to work out. A lot of the stuff around assessment, though, is where you're going to be getting your hands dirty. But also, I'll talk a bit later about the chat sessions that we're going to have. But a lot of the times that you'll spend communicating with me directly is actually around assessments rather than the material. And that's deliberate because actually you probably are a good self-directed learner, or you need to be at university and to work in this profession. But I'm very happy with the assessments where you're actually doing that hands-on stuff to actually be more of a guide there. Okay, you should have found Blackboard already. I'm not sure how you downloaded the unit outline without it. I guess you could go through Oasis. Okay, so there's 2 links to Blackboard. If Blackboard's down at any time, try the other link. Each day of the study period, you're expected to look at any announcements I send out, read any material added to the discussion board, and check your email. Do that every day because there's going to be stuff probably from me about assignments or assessments. And if you don't do it, I'm presuming that you're reading every day. Okay, so if you take a few days before you realise something, I'm sorry, but you should be reading every day. Okay, so it talks about what to do for each module. I'm going to actually leave that until we're looking at the Blackboard unit because it will make more sense there. Okay. For every module, there's going to be an assessment to post that you need to make. Quite different for postgrads and undergrads, but you will need to make a post for the discussion board, so you need to work out when you're going to do that. And you'll also all the time need to be working on either your hands-on tasks for assessment 1 or your multimedia piece for assessment 3 in the last half. Okay, so I'm just scrolling down. There's how to use the learning outcomes for each module. Okay, there's something about the chats, that's okay. Okay, there's more about the chats on the Blackboard, and we'll look at that when I go to Blackboard. Okay, queries, comments, clarification, and emailing the tutor. My main idea with this unit is I want you to be learning from each other. And I want you to understand there's other people out there who are doing the same as you, which is what the discussion boards are there for. You need to start, if you've got a question about the unit, at the unit outline, do a Control F to see whether you can find an answer. If not, go to the discussion boards Now I'm going to show you in a little second how to search on the discussion boards. If you still can't find it, then post it to the discussion board, unless it's something personal, okay? Any question that other students might be interested to know the answer to, please post it on the discussion board. If you email me directly, I'll say, could you please post it on the discussion board, because I want to make sure everybody has the same access to the same material. Okay. Please do contact me via Blackboard email. And again, I'll show you how to do that in the Blackboard walkthrough. If you've got something personal, like you need an extension, you've got a curtain access plan, or you want to make one of the appointments for feedback on your work, okay, that type of thing, please feel free to email me through Blackboard email. But any general questions that any other student might be interested about on the discussion boards, please. The Blackboard email I'm asking you to use because it filters into a priority place in my inbox. Particular information is added automatically to that email, and so my inbox makes sure that it's somewhere where I check daily. If you email me directly, I'm sorry, I get so many emails each day, I probably am not going to see it for a couple of days. That's just the nature of working as an academic. So if you use the Blackboard email, which I want you to, it will be in a priority inbox that I check several times a day to make sure I can answer your queries quickly. Okay. Unipass, there will be posted on the announcements the address for the Facebook group for this unit that's run by Unipass. The idea is that some units, they've set up Facebook groups with a mentor who is a student who's completed this unit successfully, to just help out with some extra conversation around the unit, extra support and scaffolding. It's not a substitute for asking on the discussion boards. People have sometimes asked on Facebook, not Unipass, but on Facebook, and there's been this mob hysteria of everybody handing in the wrong thing in an assessment because they discussed it there rather than on the discussion boards. Please make sure that any questions about the assessments happen on the discussion boards. However, the Facebook group, I'm not on there, and it is your space to actually, in a very safe environment, talk more about the unit and do some peer support. Okay, so do have a look for that on the announcements. Okay, creating profiles on online sites. You do need to create some profiles on Google and possibly other ones for your multimedia piece. You'll need to create a profile on Zotero for this unit. So please make sure that you don't use existing profiles and that everything you keep on it is appropriate for university study. Have a look at the student charter if you need. So what we need to do is make sure that material that somebody else could find is actually appropriate. Okay, online learning journals. Please read about how we're using them. Assessment 1 has exercises to get you up to speed with how to use them, so you should be pretty okay with that. Okay. Computing skills, computer access. Please look at the computer access. You're going to be making a multimedia piece, so you do need to make sure that you can record audio on your machine. As you find out with the exercise, which is just take a screenshot in Assessment 1, everybody has a different setup for their computing equipment. Some are working from home, some on fast internet, some using Mac machines, some using Windows machines. Some people have firewalls set up. I can't give you guidance at every step for something that suits your particular setup. But as with this take a screenshot shows you, you should be able to work out how to do it with your setup. However, there are some basic facilities that we presume you have access to through your computing. Check that you've got them. Talk to me about whether you can continue in the unit if you don't have access of these. For example, you can't do this unit on an iPad only. Okay. Time devoted to the unit. Okay, 12 hours per unit per week during semester is what we budget for. So if you're studying 4 units, that's 48 hours a week. Okay, that's what you need to do to pass. To do really well, you'll need to be put in more. If you put in fewer hours, the mark you get won't reflect your capability, and it's going to be quite hard to pass. Okay, so just from day one, understand that. If you do find things stressful, please consider dropping down the number of units before the census date, but do get advice from your course coordinator, for undergrads that's me, about which units to drop, because some you need to do before others. Okay, essential action for each assessment. I will talk about assessment sort of around the end. Okay, Turnitin. The university likes Turnitin. It's a text matching software to see whether what you write matches too closely what else it's got in the database. Okay. I've set up some links where you can put anything you're going to post to the discussion board or your learning journal. You can copy that to a Word document, upload it to Turnitin, and see whether it's picking up some issues with citation. Please use that. Okay. Due dates and return of work. Things are due on Thursdays. Things are due on Thursdays midnight, because if there are issues, I'm still at work the next day and can help you. Now, this is an extension of 4 days on the Sunday submission. People often say, why don't you allow us to submit on Sundays? You can submit on Sundays. It'll just be the Sunday before the Thursday. Okay, so Thursday is so that you can get support. It's Australian Western Standard Time. We try to get things back to you as soon as we can. The university standard is 15 working days, 20 working days in exceptional times, which over Easter can get quite long. The work is moderated, so any mark that happens, somebody else checks that the marking is fair and consistent and correct. So that takes a little longer. Okay, personal feedback sessions. Get one, talk to me. Okay. I'm very happy to give you feedback on the work that you've submitted so far, or even on drafts if you want to put it in your learning journal for me to have a look at. However, I need a bit of time to read it. So what I'd like you to do is, before the middle of semester, I'd like you to actually ask for a personal feedback session to find out how you're going. I can then say, not this is the mark you would get, but I can say, well, have you considered doing this? Have you read this part of the instruction? How do you think you're going? What do you need? What more support do you need? What can we do to make this better for you? Okay, so with those sessions though, please contact me about a week before. Usually I'm better, but I say a week. About a week before, so I can fit you into my schedule. I can read your work, and then what I do is either by phone or by Skype, we'll chat. Okay, and that's really important, so that if you're on the wrong track, you can work it out early. Or if you're doing things right, you can have that reinforced, okay? But please, book a feedback session with me before the middle of the year, this semester. Okay, recorded lectures, as I said, we don't have those, but there's a lot of other material. One of the questions I ask at the end of the semester is whether you would have preferred to have lectures as well. And generally people say that would be something else on top of everything we need to do. So I'm very happy to add in recorded lectures, but that's not really been the feeling of students in the past. Okay, texts. You do need to get the Neil Schumann Technology Companion 5th edition. I'm investigating at the moment, it's February, whether there's an ebook version through the library. It wasn't going to be released as an ebook, but apparently it was in December 2017. So I'm trying to get that, it being February now, available through the library so you don't have to buy the textbook. I'll let you know what happens with that via the announcements. And by second semester, we'll well and truly know. But for now, it may well be available through the library for free as an ebook. If not, you can probably buy the ebook version, which will be cheaper than the print version anyhow. But that's just on hold at the moment. Okay. Assessments, I'm going to scroll through really fast. Okay. What I will say though, she says, having said I'll scroll through really fast, is every single assessment has a lot of information. It's got the due date, where to find instruction, word count. It's all laid out for you. There's a lot of information there. And this is just collation of what people have asked on Blackboard about similar assessments in the past, okay? Do know, however, every single assessment has this at the end, marking criteria. What I expect is you to read the assessment, read the marking criteria, then go back before submission and tick off every single point on the marking criteria. It's a checklist where you can mark your own work and increase your mark rather than us being the first people to find the issue and you receiving penalties. Okay, so have a look where it said, is the resource sufficiently scholarly? Is the resource sufficiently authoritative? Just double check that you've done what you need to do. Some of them will be very specific, like assessment 2, is the post no more than 4 paragraphs? Okay, so they're really easy. Oh my goodness, no. So do use this checklist. Okay. Let me go past these. Okay. Pass requirements. You need to get an overall mark of 50% and you need to attempt every assessment. So you need to have attempted something for assessment 1, for assessment 2 and assessment 3. Now, if you get over 50% from just 2 assessments and you haven't tried the 3rd one, you are not going to pass. By the same token, if you've failed a couple of assessments but done really well in another one, that could bring you up over the 50 and you could pass. So just be really aware of that. Okay. Late assessments are 10% off per day that it's late, up to 7 days, and then it just simply won't be marked. Assessment extensions. Now, I'm happy to grant assessment extensions for the reasons outlined in the unit outline. I'm really careful about extensions in that I'm very happy if something goes wrong and pear-shaped, which does happen, to give you extensions. However, there are also a number of students who just work until 3 a.m. and put the kids in childcare just to get stuff done. So if you're asking me for an extension because you haven't been very organised, I'm not going to grant it. I'm sorry, because there are other people who have rearranged their lives and had real impact. You know, if your aunt was coming to visit on Sunday, unless it's for some reason she's medically unwell and it's a compassionate visit that you had to do before she's dying, other people have put off their aunt's visits on the Sunday. So I'm not going to give you an extension because your aunt's visiting, as an example. So I'm really happy. Please, there's a form to fill out. Make sure you filled out the form and let me know the assessment and the amount of extension you want. Usually it's about a week and no more. Okay, but assessments are definitely available, and if something happens beyond your control that you can't foresee, please do it. Now, with students with depression or anxiety, that might be those issues getting worse. I'm really happy to accept that. I will need a medical certificate, and at that time it could be really hard to go and get a medical certificate. We have a curtain access plan, which is for people who have an ongoing condition that might affect their ability to study. And in it, you go to our disability services and you say, here's my medical evidence about the condition I have. They work with you and create a plan, and it often includes you can get an extension without having to show any more evidence. You give that access plan to your unit coordinator at the start, and then if things go pear-shaped, and I mention anxiety and depression specifically because a lot of students do have issues with it. When you are having your most anxious time, you don't then have to go to a doctor and fill in lots of extra paperwork. So just having that curtain access plan, even if you don't use it, if you have anxiety or depression, actually can sometimes just keep you afloat. So please do consider it. Right, what else? HumDis. Okay, this is really important. We send out information not just about the metro area and not just about locally in Curtin. OUA students should join this as well. It gives you instructions about how to join this email list, where there'll be information about your practicum, about what's happening in the department, about jobs. Please join that list. Okay, it's written in red in my unit outlines. This is probably the most important part of the entire unit outline. This bit here, this is the program calendar. Okay, I am teaching 8 different deliveries of units this semester. And I've set up calendars for all of these. All of them are slightly different. There will be a miracle if they are all 100% accurate without contradictions. Please, if you see something strange in the calendar that doesn't match the rest of the unit outline, let me know and I will clarify, okay? It should be okay. What this does is it tells you the rough module you should be working on. Now, as I've said before, you might know a lot about technology infrastructure, so be able to really rip through it very quickly, but not know a lot about something that's featured in, say, topic 2. That gives you more time to deal with it. So what I've done is I've said, look, these are roughly the weeks that you'll need to do the topics. But as long as you make your way through and you've completed the topics by the time the next module starts, you're doing fine. So it's a rough guide. Again, the tasks for assessment 1, the part 2 tasks, I've said you should aim to get these done at these times. Again, some will go faster, some will go slower, but do aim for that. Okay. I'm going to jump across to the assessment dates. So A1 and A3, they are there. For postgraduates, not for undergraduates, for postgraduates, Info 5007, Info 5025, you have this column where you're going to be submitting on 3 of these 6 dates. There's information and assessment 1 that makes it really clear what you need to do, but do go and circle the ones that are relevant to you, please, as soon as you can. Now I'm going to jump back to the live chat session. Okay, the live chat session, which I might just jump into Blackboard and launch into that as soon as I can. The idea is that I experimented last year with using Collaborate, which is our online communications where students can log in, they'll see me broadcasting, I can share my screen, and we talk about each assessment, what the expectations are. People have read all the instructions and it's just for clarification and to touch base. Okay, so there is one for each of the assessments scheduled. However, I had an occasion in another unit where a couple of students, for one reason or another, ended up coming on campus and we just videoed that. And suddenly things came alive and people asked much more in-depth questions. There was much more communication and the people online also started being more involved because there was a deeper discussion. So this year what I'm doing is I'm having 3 ways that you can be part of this. One is, even though everybody is online, I've booked a room, and if a couple of people who are local could come in and be part of the chat around it, it will make a big difference for everyone because the questions are just so much better and the discussion is so much better. So I'm asking any local students from around the Bentley area if they can make it to 4 p.m. on Tuesdays. I'm sorry about the time. I was trying to find something that would fit everybody because a lot of people are from eastern states. If they can pop in and we can chat then, that would be great. At the same time, there'll be the online chat that's going. I'll be broadcasting, the room will be broadcast online, and you'll be able to either ask questions via your microphone or type them in. We'll be monitoring those and answering them. If you can't make it to either of those, you are expected to watch the recording of the session because people will be asking about assessments, and what I don't want to do is give information to one person but not to the other. Okay, you will be expected to write your assessments. We will presume that you've seen the online chats. Now, whether there's a lot of extra information or no extra information, I can't tell you until we have the chats. But often people raise an interesting question and I go, don't know. Let's say this, okay? And that's really important for you to know. Those chats will be combinations of OUA, Curtin, postgraduate and undergraduate students. Okay, so I will make it clear whether something applies to one group or not to the other, but we're all in together because most of the information is going to be the same. Right. That was the unit outline. Let's have a look at Blackboard. Okay, and this should be quicker because you've done most of the this is what's expected type of stuff. Okay, announcements. Check them daily. They get emailed out to you. However, any movies, and I often will just pop a little movie in. Where's the movie? Is the movie not? The movie's not displaying. It's been stripped. I'll fix that. Okay, often there's movies in the announcements, however they don't display in the email that gets sent to you. So that's one thing to know about. Okay, discussion board, check it daily. We're using this for assessment 2. We're using this for assessment 3, and some of the material is being created by you. And so that is part of the unit. Okay, so you write about a technology for assessment 3, you make comments for assessment 2. Everybody is expected to read all of the material. Now I say that partly because you can't repeat somebody else's material, and I don't want you to accidentally for assessment 2 write exactly the same thing on exactly the same article as somebody and then get pinged for plagiarism. Okay, so it's really important that you read everybody's stuff. Now let me show you a few ways to make it easier. Now let me show you a nifty thing. If you're somewhere where you need a lot of space, you can always do that to the sidebar. Whee! You just click and that arrow appears. On the discussion boards, there's different forums. Okay. However, this is how I suggest you check them every day. Every day. Go to search. Do not put anything in the search box and push go. What that will do is display all the posts in chronological order. So the most recent ones will appear at the top. So all you have to do is just read down until you get to something you've read before and you'll know you're updated. So if I push go now, we can see there's some welcomes happening. Okay, and then you can see all the things that I've posted. So that's a really quick way to update yourself, and I suggest you do it daily. However, if you're stuck and you want to know, for example, about plagiarism or copyright or citation, as I said in the unit outline discussion, Control F on unit outline is your friend. However, when you come to the discussion boards, just have a look. I don't know what this is going to bring up. One of those awful don't do anything until you've checked it. Okay, so I've put copyright in. If I then search for copyright, there's no items with copyright. Okay, let me show you a sneaky thing. If you're just wanting to know what I've said, put in my name, Catherine, and that brings up everything with the text Catherine. So there's the word response. So let's, if for example you wanted to find the word response, you get the idea here. Okay, it will bring up everything with the word response. Okay, so that's what I expect you to do. With these discussion boards, much more useful if you just do the search, go, and then just have them listed in chronological order. A really neat little trick. Okay, start here. You found the movie. There's the assignment declaration. Please sign that, because if you don't, I can't mark anything. Okay, so you do need to do that. Okay, staff contacts, email. Now, as I said before with the unit outline, you need to email me through the unit, through Blackboard, please. I just won't see it in my inbox. Honestly, it's not that I'm hiding from you, I just don't see it. Okay, so clicking on the email, what you need to do is, there's different ways to do it. What you need to do is scroll down to single select users, find me on the list. My name is Greenhill Catherine. Whee, not the preview user. Okay. Okay, then, right, okay. Now, what this will do is it will send you a message as well, but it won't give you any indication that it was sent to me, okay? This will be sent to your email as well. That's okay. It's working okay. Don't think it hasn't been sent to me. What it does, though, is it adds a bit of information that I need. So you do your typing and then you just submit. And then it appears to have gone off into the ether, okay? Now, other Blackboard units have other ways of doing email, but I'm using this way of doing email. And as I said, it will send you a copy as well. Don't panic. It's meant to, and I will have received it. Okay. Unit information. Now, what's different about my units? It tells you about the unit outline. Because my calendars take up more than one page when they get formatted by the unit outline builder, nothing we can do about that. I've actually put under unit information a downloadable doc of the calendar and also a screenshot of the calendar. As I said, these are copies of the what was in the unit outline. Unit outline is king and queen. So if this doesn't match the unit outline's right. It does, but I'm just adding that disclaimer that we have to add. Okay. Student support resources and extra OUA support, please do go and have a look at those. Now, what I might do is actually change this so the edit mode isn't on, and then you can see what you see. There are a few extra menus that I see because I'm a coordinator. Okay. Learning resources, very important. So important that I'm going to start with live chat sessions. Okay, so these are the way that the unit material is made is through the study area I give you, the discussion board that you contribute to, and our live chat sessions. If you click through to the live chat sessions, it tells you how to attend in person, online, and what to do during the live session. It also tells you the things that you need to have read before. When the recordings have happened, you can get to them under recordings. See that difference? Okay, you need to make sure you do that, otherwise you'll only see scheduled sessions and you'll think, where is the recording? It's under recordings, okay? So that's a bit hard to get to. Okay, if you're going to attend online, please do go to this link, follow the instructions, and you can test all your equipment and gear on some tests, on a test setup, to make sure that you go through. Now, for some reason, undergraduates are reluctant to do these. I don't know why. I shouldn't say that because probably you were all eager and now you're going, nah, I don't have to do it. But I do encourage everybody to be part of these. You need to watch it for your assessments anyhow, and you're better off doing it live when you can actually say, ha, I don't understand. Should you find that once you've read, you've viewed the recording, something still doesn't make sense, please do post to the discussion board. Okay, so that's part of the unit content. Now, study area. There's, as I said, 4 modules. Okay, each of the modules goes to, actually I'll do assessment module 2, goes to a WordPress installation that I run because that's got much better interface and it's much easier to do multimedia things than a Word document that you download. Also with 4 different cohorts, you just go to the same place. So you click and you get there. It has, as you saw, a password that I have copied and I'm going to paste it in. It didn't ask for it because I've been in before. Okay, usually you'll have to paste this password in. Okay, now when you get to your module, the first thing you do is you go to start here. Learning outcomes and what to do next. What that does is it tells you the steps to do and the order to do them. It doesn't tell you exactly when to do them because people have different abilities, but these are the order to do them in. Some of the tasks for assessment 1 can't really be understood until you've read the material for one of the topics, and it indicates that clearly. So just make sure, if you're lost, if you're all at sea, go to the study area, find the what to do this module, and just work through it. I would suggest, because I'm an organised kind of person, putting this stuff onto your calendar or your to-do list and really chunking it and working out when you're going to do what. Okay. The other thing you do when you first start a module is look at the learning outcomes. So you can see Discuss the impact of mobile devices on service provision and information services. Now, people will have different, some of you might have been app developers, some of you might have just got your first mobile phone 5 years ago, okay? So people have different skills. However, please look at my topic material first to make sure that what you think that is actually what it is. Once you've read the topic material though, go back and double check that you actually can do all of these. Like the concept digital inclusion. If the report I get you to read about digital inclusion doesn't actually gel it for you in your mind, go and find some other material and do that for all of these, and that will actually give you the tools you need in order to finish the assessments. Okay? There's that one, and then there'll be individual topics. For example, topic 2, the Internet and the World Wide Web. You will find that there will be a lot of movies and things in there, okay? Just to break it up. Every topic also has at the end essential readings. There's a reference list, but there's also essential readings. You must do those as well. So work your way through the topic notes, but then there's usually a reading from the textbook, a link to one of the other readings, essential reading 2, essential reading 3, essential reading 4. Then there can be supplementary readings. This one actually has a lot of readings. Most of the topics don't have quite as many as this one. This one is one that people got really interested in. However, those supplementary readings are either too long or too specialised to set as essential readings. But if you haven't understood what you need for one of those learning outcomes, start with looking at the supplementary readings to see whether there's supplementary information about it. But certainly these readings that you get are as important as the topic notes, and you must make time to read them. Okay, so I suggest in the unit outline that you spend 4 of your weekly hours reading the topics, 4 of your weekly hours doing the hands-on tasks, assessment 1, 2 or 3, and that leaves another 4 hours that you've got space. So depending on your learning style, I'd say 4, 5, 6 hours of reading on those topics at least during a week, during the tuition weeks. For the non-tuition weeks or the break, the consolidation weeks for the OUA students, use it to catch up on that reading as much as anything else. Okay, you won't understand how to do the assessments unless you've read the readings. Okay, so that's the study area, very important. With the important assessment information, there's all sorts of stuff there. What I want to draw your attention to is, what does my mark mean? Actually, if you're getting 60 or 65, that's honours level. I used to think that about 70 was kind of average for students. Actually, 60, 65 means you're hitting the marks and you're doing fine. Okay, so don't panic if you get something in 60 or 65. That's why I put these marks here, because people often expect more. I think I've given out 5 marks over 90 in my 8-year teaching career, and it's rare for people to get over 80. Okay, so just know that. Some assessments though, like part 1 of assessment 1, most people get 10 out of 10. It's designed that way. It's just a can you set stuff up. Okay, so there are some assessments, especially the hands-on ones, where people do get kind of high marks, but just know that's there. Okay, the assessments themselves are under assessment 1, 2, 3. Now, the first Tuesday of semester, there is one of the meetings online and in person about assessment 1. And part 1 of assessment 1 is due in the 2nd week. Know that. You're going to have to get going with it. Also know it's stuff that I probably would expect you to know already. Okay? What it is to get people who are very low level up to speed, but it also gives you all the things you need, like to know how to do embed code for the other assessments. So it's really a setup. It is basically a join the dots, colouring in type of thing rather than a lot of thinking. However, each of those assessments, assessment 1, 2 or 3, instructions that aren't in the unit outline, and submission points will be under there. Assessment 1, for example, the setup part 1, which is due in very soon, it has the questions here, which again is in another WordPress installation. I'm copying that password, and it has a learning journal here. I'm just clicking on the learning journal. Now, within the Assessment 1 information, there's a little movie about how to use the learning journals that you need to watch. So, yeah, I'm not going to go through it much at the moment, but that's the learning journal, just scrolling back to that Assessment 1 area. The Assessment 1 Part 1 questions, and I'm just telling you this because it's the type of thing you need to know for right now. Remember, I copied that password, so I'm going to paste that in, and that's going to get me in to tell me what I need to do. Now, where it says Part 1 question, read first, read that first. Okay, so it tells you all the different things you need to do. So we're using, we're making an entry in the learning journal, installing Chrome, taking a screenshot, embedding a YouTube clip, introducing yourself both on the board and to me if you want to, creating a Gmail account and showing me that you've gone to look at the privacy and the geolocation options, because that's really important and it relates to topic 2. And just creating some learning goals. The postgraduates have an extra task where they sign up for Assessment 2. If you're doing Info 5007 or Info 5025, you need to do that extra one. Other people don't. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. I reckon it will take you 2, maybe 3 hours max. Yeah, 2, to actually just work through it. Although some people may not have Chrome on their system and may be downloading for the first time. May never have created a Gmail account. It will take you longer. If you've done these things, it'll be really quick. Okay, so let me have a look at my notes to see if there's anything else I need to tell you. No. I reckon that's it. I'm not going to go into Assessment 1, 2 or 3 much more because we have individual chat sessions about those and your head is full by now. Okay, if there are questions after this, please do feel free to ask on the discussion board and relax, enjoy. I'm just fascinated by all this tech stuff. I think it's fun. I think it's making a difference to how we relate as human beings and how compassionate we can be, and how well we can free the data and information we have in our information services, how we can connect with each other. And I hope that in some ways, at the end of the 13 or 14 weeks you spend with me, you have a better appreciation for the technologies that you'll be using every day as a professional. Okay, cheers.